ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we have a series of fantastic interviews planned for you guys this morning on Rise and Shine. And we kick things off with our very first guest, Dr. Yousef Al-Zureikat, tour guide and tourism trainer and former director of Al Ma'wa Reserve as well as the Bean Nature Reserve. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning to you as well.
Good morning, Sabah al Khair. What a beautiful location. What a beautiful governorate. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in tourism, and particularly here in Jerash.
Yeah, it is Jerash, my hometown. First of all, I've been doing tourism and involved in tourism for a long period of time, something like more than 18 years.
MashaAllah.
Training as well some of the tourism trails in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and this part of the world here. But also being my passion was always going back as a tour guide because you travel all over, and you can always get use of what the knowledge that you got and the experience from being a natural reserve, as well as also managers and going throughout the very beautiful landscape in Jordan. All things together indeed, but also what's really more important is the human being that is it is the human being indeed that we always focus on, that he's the one who's generating everything and changing and creating things. And Jordanians are doing very well in this, no matter how they were, whether they are in Jordan, outside Jordan. But in Jordan also, I've seen them in all, even remote areas in Wadi Araba, as well as the desert, as well as over the mountains. They've done great, creative.
I'm sure they've been doing great things.
The guardians of the culture and heritage.
I love that. I love that. It must be really nice to sort of show off your hometown to people visiting from abroad, to meet people from different cultures. And boy, oh boy, we're looking at, when we're planning for the show, we've been looking at the things that people can do in Jerash. There's so many things between culture, between nature and history. So that must be really nice to highlight to people.
Yeah, of course, of course. Jerash does have quite variety as well as of tourism destinations, and the most important tourism destination is the history of the site of Jerash. That's dated back to more than 2,000 years old, still even preserved, one of the best preserved and Greco-Roman classical cities outside Rome. It is the first, indeed, by most of the archaeologists as well as experts about this idea. And this archaeological site is quite huge. It is like a lightning in the horizon for other destinations. The most attraction point to Jerash, but also it created in some way or another a place like this. This is quite a great romantic place. I've been many times to this. I've been watching and seeing how they developed it in this
Dar al-Na'meh Jerash.
Dar al-Na'meh Jerash, yeah, Dar al-Na'meh, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing indeed to be in a place like this and to be in Jerash. Then we also talk about a lot of other components. For example, all kinds of tourism activities could be applied, and even Jordanians can enjoy. Jordan Trail is passing by this place here as an extension to Jerash, as well as we have trails and hiking and along the Zarqa River. As well as also the desert east of Jerash does have a part of the desert, some another arid area, but also it's quite good destination.
Oh, really? I never, when usually internal tourism, you think desert, things like that, automatically everyone goes to the south, Wadi Rum and that area. You don't really think of deserts.
It is not, it's an arid area indeed, more than being a desert. It's there is some of the vegetation and plants, as well as also let's say small communities of farmers sometimes along the valleys, but also the shepherds and those who are taking care of the livestock. And they're doing very well despite the fact that they would pass through the last 2 years a little bit dry, but they manage, and the government is supporting them a lot.
So, speaking of tourism and tourists in particularly, how do you see the movement of tourism here in Jerash? Is it more Arabs, Jordanians, something local, or more foreigners?
It is foreigners, international tourists, as according to the census, what's being from time to time they do a review for the number of tourists. Yeah, we are almost having something like 40% indeed of foreign tourism, In high seasons could be a little bit higher, but also Jerash is a destination for Jerash Festival, for even the springtime, for Lebanon and a lot of other quite local traditional products in Jordan.
Yeah.
And we can see now the quite beautiful landscape and the greenery around us with all these trees, with the lichens in them, olive trees. Some of these olive trees are more than 400 years old, by the way,
Yeah.
and some of them are even more. And the lovely thing is, just like I always describe my hometown, Jerash, as like a Persian carpet. Every single nut is a part of beauty and proficiency, as well as also a place that the Jordanians show uh, their talents and the adapting projects, creating, and so on.
You know, I could really tell you've been working in tourism for a long time because, mashallah, you paint a very pretty picture about everything that you are saying, and all of it is true as well. Now, you touched upon local products, so I want to ask you, how important are places like Dar al Na'meh in empowering women and giving tourists a positive impression of Jarash?
By the time it was established, people were just raising questions. What's Darnam? What's Darnam? Then they have taken some more information about Darnam before Naman. Then it attracted more of the local community, basically the women. Indeed, the women are highly involved in producing a lot of local products, like Lebanon is even sometimes also embroidery and stuff like that.
Oh, the Lebanon is
The
important.
Lebanon, yeah.
The Lebanon is very
Lebanon,
important
yes,
here.
this it is so indeed. And Jerash's highest trademark, besides the being a tourism destination, it's also for the local products. Zatar, Sumag. By the way, look at these trees here. The greenery over there along the patches and the terraces. These are all Sumag. Sumag, yeah. You
Oh,
can,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
There's a time for them to cultivate it, and it's growing all over these mountains. No matter how it is dry sometimes, but they do have deep roots, and a lot of local communities and CBOs here are doing great in this, producing it, and they are started exporting it outside Jordan.
Mashallah.
They started a time ago for the Gulf countries through their relatives and so on. Then they now had their own trademark to export it worldwide.
Amazing.
If
Besides
I were,
olives oil, yeah. This is
Hi, Akid. Hi, Akid. Standard.
the couples, by the way. We are sitting underneath a lot of olive trees around us. But I have to remind you that in the 2nd century AD, the very famous historian and traveler Pliny the Elder, 2nd century AD, passed by these Decapolis cities, and he said that the olives of Decapolis are small olives known for us, but they are the most favorite. The olive oil is the most favorite for Rome, and there is a saying that from Abel of the Abel is Zayt, Abel, which is Abella. They say that the candles of Rome was lit by the oil coming from this part of the world and the Decapolis cities.
wow, what
This is 2nd century
a
AD.
beautiful mini history lesson that we have here. I want to ask you a question for all of our dear listeners. Let's say they want to have a full day in Jerash. They want to plan a full day in Jerash. Let's say, for example, on Friday. How would you plan their trip? I told them to start here in Dar al Na'meh for breakfast. And then what would they do?
Yeah, that's point. Starting in the morning, if they arrive before 11 o'clock, that's quite enough time to start having breakfast here. One of them is just having off-road, driving over the mountains north of Souf. If you then go down to Jerash, they can even pass by the village of Souf. Around the left side here, there's quite lovely road that shows you even the Hormone Mountain, borders of Syria and the north part of Jordan. In addition, they can see the beautiful mountains of Amman and Balqa and all these destinations. Going down to, first of all, they can go down to what's being developed nowadays, Al-Berktain, a little bit north of the archaeological site. Al-Berktain is described by the historians here is one of the unique, still preserved destination that does include all the components of the mummias Roman mythology of swimming and purifying themselves by water. It does have a theater, a Roman theater, as well as also 2 big pools and a Roman bath. Still, even the bricks are from the Roman period.
Oh,
Quite
wow.
unique place.
Wow.
And even attached to it, there is the tomb and the memorial the tomb as well of Germanus, the governor of Jerash, who was appointed by the Romans that time, late second century AD, 180 AD.
Oh wow, Jerash really is seeped in history. Well, moving away from history a little and focusing more on the beautiful nature that we find here in Jerash. What about the environment and the green side of Jerash with its forests and nature reserves and things like Al Ma'wa?
In general, I mean, there is quite great efforts done by the government, general and NGOs like RSCN, as well as also local CBOs are sometimes volunteering and going for small donations, and they adopt a certain project in a certain aspect, and they work with the Ministry of Environment and many other donors and sponsors. But back to the landscape here and the beauty, we are having a unique mix of, first of all, the forested land around us over the mountains, as you can see, oak tree, whether it is deciduous oak tree, which is now, one of them is ahead of us, we can see it, the national tree of Jordan, which is Al-Mallul. It is one of the royal court heritage symbols indeed. The Al-Mallul, we can even take photos somewhere up there in the Mallul area.
We would love
It
to.
grows all over, by the way, Jerash, but basically it could be found in the area of Mastaba, and because it grows over the heights of 450 meters above sea level with less even rainfall. The wildlife and the biodiversity is quite unique. There are a lot of the lichens we can see in the trees here refers to a healthy oxygen. This is by science indeed, and we are not far away from Majnun Castle. Just going over a matter of 20 minutes drive, you can just get close to Ajloun as well as to Irbid and all other destinations, especially when we talk about the north part of Jordan, and in springtime, a lot of people from the Gulf countries are coming here.
It is gorgeous.
And it is gorgeous, and the most important thing is that the locals had already, they became creators. They became creating their own destinations and even introducing their own tourism products, and they're doing very well.
Mashallah,
I'm happy with
amazing.
this.
Alhamdulillah. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us on Rise and Shine, Dr. Yousef Al-Zureikat, tour guide and tourism trainer. Definitely, I understand why you're a trainer, because you gave us such great insight. I hope the team is taking notes, because we are going to do a tour around Jerash, of course. And thank you so much for being part of our
My pleasure
morning.
to be your guide today.
Oh,
Thank you, sir. Thank
that
you.
would be
Thank
great.
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank